Well, if you are a consultant in the US, as you probably know, we do have a tax day. And what that means is that there's going to come a time when we are going to have to do our taxes. I mean, that's just part of the joy of living in the good old USA, right? So I just wanted to hop on here real quick and kind of share some different tips on how I do and have done my getting all the things together for my CPA. So I will say real quick, I know that there could be a difference of opinion. I am not a tax expert by any means. However, I do trust mine. I've been with him now, well, since I was 19 years old. My ex-husband had a company and he did all of their company taxes, our personal taxes, and even after we got divorced, continued on with my personal taxes and then started doing my business taxes. And because he had been in Amway many, many years ago, he had a very good understanding of what it meant to do taxes for someone in direct sales. And that's a real biggie because a lot of people might tell you they know, but there's some things when I've heard and I've had conversations with people, I'm like, oh no, you don't have to do that. Or, oh goodness, you need to find somebody that truly understands direct selling. So, for example, whenever I first started my Scentsy business, of course, I wasn't making a ton of money, but my goal was whatever my 1099 was, I wanted to have at least that much or more in expenses that I could take to my CPA. And so what did that look like for me? So again, this is 2008, and then for probably about 10 years, how I did things. Anytime I had a business expense, I would keep the receipt, and I had one of those accordion style file folders. I don't know if you guys will know what I'm talking about. They still sell them today on Amazon or at any office shop. And each one of the files had the month of the year. So January, February, March, April, May, June, you get the idea. Anytime I had any business expense that I had a receipt for the month of January, I just placed all the miscellaneous receipts in that file folder for the month of January. Now, there would be situations or circumstances like, I can't think of one in the moment, but for example, I didn't have a receipt. So maybe I would just write down on a piece of paper, I don't know, pest control, $42, January 14th, paid by check. So I would write it on a piece of paper and I would place that piece of paper in the January file folder. Now, this is old school, but it will still work today. So there's no reason you have to spend a lot of money. I just want to tell you how I did it then, how it would still work, and then how I do it today. And then you can choose to do what you want. Another thing that I would commonly do is I would take pictures of the receipts when I was out and about, and I would add them to an album. That way I would always have copies of the receipts in album that just said taxes, okay? So ideally, if you were really together, occasionally I did this. At the end of the month, I would go in and I would tally all of those different receipts by category. So first I would put all the postage receipts, all of my marketing receipts, all of my print, like maybe things I got made copies of, or for paper or ink that I purchased, anything related to that in a stack. Maintenance. So I have a building that I have my property on. So if I have to buy paint to paint my building, if I buy a shelving unit to put my product on, anything like that. I have for business supplies, right, or office supplies. So I had different categories. I would stack out the different receipts on the different categories, tally each category up and write it on a piece of paper or put it in a simple spreadsheet that said postage expenses or marketing expenses, right? And I put that tally for the month of January and then February and then March. And then when I would go to my CPA, I simply would take him that spreadsheet or that piece of paper where I wrote everything down on for him, and he would do his magic. So that will still work for you today. If you're like, oh my goodness, I did absolutely nothing this last year. I became a consultant a year ago. I've kept track of nothing. Well, you're making it harder on yourself, but there's still hope. First of all, go in the workstation. And I want you to go to your workstation and I want you to write down any of your website fees, any of your shipping expenses, anything you bought that you used for marketing, the scent and warmer of the month, for example. Maybe you get a whiff box every month that you use for marketing. You go live on, you take it places and share it and show it. That's a marketing expense, right? Maybe you went in a consultant store and you bought catalogs, or you bought pieces of felt, or you bought some of the new t-shirts or sweatshirts or something in the consultant store. You can print off or write down all of those expenses and put them in what you believe the category would be they would go on. You could go to your Amazon account if you're an Amazon orderer like I am, and go back through your order history for the last year. Anything and everything you can relate to business. Ink, envelopes, ink pens, clipboards, just anything and everything, like I said, that you've used. Tablecloths, sheets to cover up your tables at events when you're done. Just think of anything that you can relate back towards your business, then that is a business expense. So that's going to help catch you up for this year. Now, something if you're like, oh my gosh, I need to make this so much easier in my life. If you're at that place, and most of you probably are not, you can handle old school just fine. But I needed a system that was going to help me be more organized and make me more efficient with my time when it came to handling all of this stuff. So that's when I purchased the app that's called Hurdler. And I always struggle with how it's spelled. Oh, I guess I should have known that before I went on here because I can't look at it now. But it's Hurdly, maybe, Hurdler. And anyways, it is an app. I pay by the year. There's a monthly option or an annual option. I believe the annual option is $99. Now, let me explain why this is really helpful for me. Number one, I'm on the go all the time. I'm gone more than I'm home. And I don't carry a purse. I don't usually have a tote bag with me. I don't have the things to keep track of stuff, right? So here's why I like this app. First of all, when you get the app, you can then go in and sync your bank accounts, your Venmo account, your PayPal account, your credit card accounts, any of your accounts. You can sync it with the app, okay? So then automatically, it's going to be putting any transactions into the app. Now, to make your life easier, you can create what's called a rule. Anytime it sees, for example, a Panera expense, whether that's on my credit card, whether that's on my bank account statement, anytime it sees Panera, I've created a rule that says it's going to always be for business, because the only time I ever go to Panera is for business, meeting up with teamies, meeting up with customers. It's always, always business. So it's automatically, anytime it sees a Panera Bread expense on any of my cards or accounts, it's going to automatically sort it into business, and it's going to sort it as a business meal. Automatically, it's going to happen for me. Another example, I use Pirate Ship for all of my shipping. Anytime it sees a Pirate Ship expense on any of my accounts, it's going to automatically know that's a business expense, and that is for postage and shipping. Anytime it sees a United States mail post office bill expense, it automatically knows that's going to be for business, and it's going to put it under my shipping and my postage, because I don't ever have a reason to mail anything unless it's business related. So 100% of those expenses are business. Another one would be Hughes Internet. So my business internet is Hughes. So it automatically knows every month when that Hughes bill comes out of my bank account, because I have it auto set to pay, it knows that that is business internet. Here's a personal example. Evergy is who our electric is through on my home. So personal, this is not a business expense. But whenever it sees an Evergy account bill, it automatically puts that on the personal side as a utility bill. So now what can happen is at the end of the year, I just did this recently actually. Recently I decided to download and to print my business expenses by category. And voila, I just had to go in and click business expense by category and print. And now I've got a document that I can take to my CPA all done for me. It literally took me, I don't know, a minute to print it, to download and print it. I could also download it and attach it in an email to send to him if he was out of state or not close to me. So it's very simple, very easy. Once you have the app, you sync your accounts, which takes minutes to do. It does take more time to train it, to tell it every time you see this, every time you see this, assign it to this. But literally after the first couple of months of statements, I had it trained up so it was automatically doing it. Now, again, there are occasionally situations when I have a receipt, like I have to write a check. For example, in my neighborhood, we have a newsletter that comes out that I advertise in. They only accept check for payment. So when I write the check that I'm going to send them, I take a picture of the check and I can manually add that expense. I maybe have 3 a month that I have to manually add as an expense. Everything else is automated. Everything else just happens within the app. It's all synced up. It just happens. It goes. It's super simple. It's super easy. Most of you don't need that. But if some of you are in a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, I just want the app. I want it to work for me. I don't want to have to think about this, whether it's personal expenses or business expenses, then go for it. I highly recommend the Hurdler app. And if you have no idea how to spell it or find it, it's green in the background and it looks kind of like a little alien or a little monster is their icon. So that might help you. But it's definitely, it's been a saving grace for me. Makes my life so much easier come tax time, or even if I'm just trying to look at what categories do I need to cut down, where am I spending too much. It's just really quick, simple, easy way for me to do so. So whether you do it new or old way, Tracy way, either way, just make sure that you're doing, you're tracking and you're documenting your expenses. You can also, of course, talk to your CPA. Some are going to tell you based on what your mileage is. Sometimes it's better for you to take your mileage. Sometimes it's better for you to take your gas. It's going to depend on your situation and your circumstances. Some of you never deliver anything. All of your business is online. So it's irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what your situation or your circumstances is. In our case, our CPA uses mileage versus gas expense. So that's just something to think about. If your business is in your home, let's say, so part of your internet is used for business, part of your cell phone is used for business. You have a little area in your home that's used for business. So a part of your electric, a part of your gas bill, all of that can be counted towards your business. So I would just recommend writing down your monthly gas bill, electric bill, and let your CPA, they're going to talk to you and say, so what percentage of your time is used on this? And then they have a formula. They'll determine how much of that they can use to write off as a business expense versus a personal expense. So again, I'm not a tax expert. I'm not pretending to know everything. I'm just telling you how I've done it and what works for me. And I have a trusted CPA. And so I use his input on what he's told me to do. And it's always worked for me. The big key is just making sure you have as much or more expenses versus your 1099. So I hope this is helpful. Thanks, everyone.